Well, speaking of headlines, I wanted to get to this one real quick, and then I want to hear your little story of your adventures last night.
Okay. All right, there's not much to tell there. So
well, but that's why it's short, and that'll give us an hour, and we can get into this talking metal.
All right.
I shared this headline with you that made me laugh, only because I've never seen a headline like this before.
Okay.
This is the actual headline of the news story.
Yeah.
Hot English teacher victimizes two 18-year-old males by banging them, giving them beer.
That's in what publication?
That's in the Daily Caller.
All right. Nice.
So she victimized
Victimizing an 18-year-old?
Yeah. The hot English teacher victimizes two 18-year-old males by banging them.
How is that victimizing anybody? They're of age.
And then giving them beer. Well, let me read the short story.
Beer might be, but
yeah.
Go ahead.
A married 26-year-old high school English teacher has been arrested for having sex with two 18-year-old male students and giving them some beer inside her home while her husband was out of town on business.
All right.
The teacher, Tiffany Leaseth, was a long-term substitute teacher from the New Brighton area school district in rural western Pennsylvania. This is actually Moon Township, where your bud Ed lives. In fact, I sent him this story.
Maybe she'll come over to the museum.
Right.
And, maybe she could take care of a 45-year-old fucking pinball owner.
Right. According to the police, Leaseth invited one of the two male high school seniors over to her house in Moon Township. On the last day of school, she gave him a beer, and they had sex.
Nice.
The very next day, police say the second student went to her home. There were more sex and more beer.
Okay.
Prior to all the excitement, Leaseth had, of course, sent the two students nude photos of herself.
Hot.
Under Pennsylvania law, Leaseth seemed to have jumped the gun on the deadline for teacher-student sex just by a few days. She now faces charges of institutional sexual assault, a third-degree felony, because the students had not yet officially graduated.
So what? They're 18 years old.
Well, there's more to the story.
All right.
The raft of charges against the teacher also includes furnishing alcohol to minors.
Okay, well, that I get.
Regardless of your age, whether you're an adult or not, if you're a high school student, a teacher cannot have sexual relations with you, Moon Township Police Chief Leo McCarthy said. McCarthy added that the law originated in 2007 to give people who are being supervised by others protection. Leaseth's attorney argues that the law doesn't apply in this case.
Why?
She was not their teacher at the time, and they were not her students. My client did not pursue those boys. They are adults. They make their own decisions. Police do admit that it was no crime when Leaseth sent nude images of herself to the high school students because they were 18 at the time they received the images.
Nice.
According to the cops, one of the two teens said Leaseth warned him not to tell anybody about the illicit fling. Okay. That plan apparently didn't work out, though, because the school district superintendent called the cops after he received a couple of phone calls about the hanky-panky. They had a rumor, there was a rumor at the school, they had a rumor that a school teacher was sending nude photos of herself to two male students. They followed up on that rumor, and they found those students, and they found nude photos, and they identified the teacher. School district officials have sacked Leaseth since the alleged incidents came to light. She had been a district substitute for 2 years and was serving as a long-term sub in English class in the school year.
The sub, all right.
Yeah. The school district issued a statement praising itself for providing complete cooperation with all the involved agencies and declining further comment in light of the pending litigation.
Right.
Local parents applauded the arrest, set the example for any of the other teachers or administrators that have any thoughts of doing anything like that.
Now, if you were other guys in that school, wouldn't you beat those two's ass?
Well, what amazes me is that guys can't keep their mouths shut about that.
Yeah, it's like, shut up. You're getting some free pussy from a teacher.
Especially, and, you know, this girl's a good-looking girl.
Yeah, you're getting free puss from your teacher.
Yeah.
And now you got her over the barrel where you could be fucking her for the next 10 years just out of threat.
Right.
What's wrong with you two dummies?
Yeah. Hey, we went over, banged this teacher. She gave us beer. Now go have her arrested.
Yeah, let me go tell my mommy.
Because I'm victimized.
Oh, what a bunch of faggots.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But like I said before, the headline is the best.
Yeah, banged.
She victimized them by banging them.
Man, oh man.
And giving them beer.
I really am at a loss for these kids today. If you would have had a hot teacher sucking your cock, would that ever have come out?
No.
I would have never told anybody.
Hail and kill, caller. You're on the air.
I would never have told anybody either. You know, you always figure that in this case, in these kinds of cases, they had that talk beforehand. Hey, now look, nobody can know about this. You can't tell anybody. This is our little secret. I'd be like, tell who what?
Yeah, exactly.
But, I mean, as this is a topic near and dear to my heart because there were a couple of teachers that I really would have gone for in high school and one in college. But, I don't know. I mean, you know, you had that reaction, and we've talked about this before. You know, when you see this kind of story, the first thing is like, whoa, why didn't this happen to me?
Right.
And then, I don't know, maybe just because I'm a little bit older now, I realize that these women really fuck with the kids' heads that they're screwing around with.
I would have loved in high school to have been a victim of pedophilia. I'm just going to say it straight out. I wish that my French teacher, Miss Volk, was a pedophile.
It's funny that your French teacher was hot because our French teacher, Miss Herrera, was one of those two.
Nice.
Well, I didn't take French, but I took Spanish, and I always joke that you could have the nice Spanish teacher or you could have the smart Spanish teacher. The smart Spanish teacher wasn't nice, and the nice one wasn't smart.
Nice.
But I always figured I wouldn't mind a crack at the nice one.
Well, she didn't victimize you by banging you or giving you beer, so you can count your lucky stars.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, at the same time, I've read enough about the subject of guys that have actually fucked their teachers, and I've seen enough about it that the teachers. It's not always the captain of the football team that gets picked, to go and to play 7 minutes in heaven with the teacher. It's usually some damaged kid who's emotionally weak, and he kind of needs a friend, and he starts out thinking he has this special older woman friend, and then it turns into some other stuff, and then he falls in love with her, and then she just wads him up and throws him away.
Right.
So what?
And he gets revenge on her, by telling.
What a puss. I don't think I'd ever tell.
I don't think I would either.
Well, Chris, Demon says your teacher victimized you by not banging you.
I agree with her, man. It still bothers me now.
With that. I think I should turn these two women in particular. The Spanish teacher was one, and then there was another one who wasn't actually my teacher, but she was somebody I knew anyway. But my God, I wanted her so fucking bad when I was 14 and 15, and that was too young.
How many times did you jerk off to her and had the whole fucking scene of doing homework, and then she started doing you instead?
Oh God, too many to mention.
Hey, I admit the same exact. I'll gladly admit that with Miss Volk, I absolutely had the whole scenario of fucking practicing fucking French words, and then She was fucking showing me how to move her mouth to say the French words and then just started sucking my cock. I totally had that image over and over in my head while I was jerking to her.
Just the fact that we had something in second year Spanish called oral exams. Good God.
Nice.
But, yeah, that continued. Those fantasies continued into my early 20s. That's how pathetic I was.
Hey, there's nothing pathetic about wanting to bang a teacher. I don't care what anybody says. There's nothing pathetic about that.
Well, I mean, Van Halen didn't make $1 million off a song that was called "Hot for Teacher."
Right.
No, but it's bad when you're still having fantasies about banging women when you're in your early 20s and you haven't seen those women in almost 10 years.
Or the worst part is when you run into them now, like if you see them like in a picture on Facebook or something, and they're just fucking old and withered. And you're like, oh, what happened?
I ran into the English teacher that I wanted to fuck. Probably, I guess it was 2005. Hey, she looked pretty good. She was pretty good, and she, you know what? Well, she turned 60 this year. I happen to know this. That's a hard thing to think about. All the women you fantasized about when you were a teenager are now getting pretty long in the tooth.
Yeah, she was in her 40s back in the day when you were thinking about her.
She was yes. She was 40 and 41.
Right.
I'm looking at my French teacher right now on Facebook, trying to see.
How is she?
I'm looking. Let's see. Come on. Oh, there she is. Not too bad. I'd still hit that.
Well, see, no, I figured I had a better shot with the English teacher because she was single and she dated around. The Spanish teacher was actually married. So that, in my 15-year-old mind, made more sense that I should go for the English teacher instead.
Are you still talking? I'm looking at my French teacher.
Chris is paddling ham.
Right.
Hey, speaking of that,
you know what Chris is going to be doing at 3:01 this morning?
Yeah, exactly. Now, speaking of that, Doghouse, you might want to give Mr. Tate a warning or a heads up. I through his publicist, I have an actual interview scheduled with Mr. Tate this week.
Uh-oh.
You might just want to give him a heads up about talking about the final tour.
Let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I was going through some old junk in the house here.
Yeah.
Excuse me. And I had this set of maracas, real, honest-to-God, coconut shell maracas. And I thought, wouldn't that be cool to use them in a tape bit? And I could not find those motherfuckers. So that's why you're listening to me rhapsodize about an English teacher I haven't seen in 10 years and,
Nice.
had a legitimate shot at in 20 instead of hearing Jeff Tate play the maracas.
Nice. Well, maybe he'll have something to talk about here in a week or two.
That is entirely possible. By the way, let me ask you, just on the subject of Tate.
Yeah.
You know that interview where he said, we call him Roberto.
Right.
Do you think the guy was just giving me a little back? Because it totally sounded like he'd heard the stuff and was just kind of like almost sending a message that he got it.
Oh, Tate himself?
Yeah.
Tate himself definitely has heard the real Jeff Tate.
Well, I know he has, but it's almost like him saying, we call him Roberto, like something that I would say as the character, the real Jeff Tate. It's almost like he's
making a reference.
Who knows? You know what? A year ago or 2 years ago, I would have said no chance in hell. Now I don't know. The way that he came back at like the Metal Madman and whatever for his videos about how bad the Frequency Unknown was. I wouldn't put it past him.
Just the way he kind of referred to the real Jeff Tate character almost sounded not exactly a stamp of approval, but kind of like an acknowledgement.
Like a tongue-in-cheek type thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Or maybe he really is closer to the character than we even realize.
Life imitates art.
Right.
All right, that is all.
All right, hail and kill.
Now I'm going to go beat off to, I'm not even going to say her name.
Too much information.
Fuck you, pal.
Yeah, fuck you, pal.
Right.
Nothing wrong with beating off to your fucking teachers.
Right. Except for those guys in Moon Township who had to blab about it.
Well, that's their fault.
I know.
It wasn't their problem.
Right.
What a bunch of dummies. You got a teacher fucking you. Enjoy that.
Yeah. And plying you with beer.
Now, but here's the funny thing. They got this fucking teacher all kinds of problems, right? To where she's going to have to move and,
probably get divorced.
Yeah. So her life is pretty much wrecked for the next 5 years.
And she's probably got to have legal bills out the wazoo.
Of course. You know that these two motherfuckers will be telling the story about how they used to fuck their teacher for the rest of their life as a positive.
Sure.
That, maybe not now when all the heat's on them, but 5 years from now, they'll be at a party being like, let me tell you what I did. I fucked Miss What's-Her-Name.
Yeah.
She was my teacher, and I was banging this bitch.
Right.
You know they're going to do that. What a bunch of fucking hypocrite fags.
Until I blabbed about it and she went to jail.
Yeah, and then she did time.
Right.
Because we're a bunch of cunts.
Hail and kill, caller. You're on the air.
Hey, boys. It's Nathan again. How you doing?
Hey, what's up, Nathan?
Hey, quick story for you, and then I got to go watch That's My Boy after hearing this conversation. That's a funny-ass movie, by the way. But here in the little backwoods hick town that I live in, which I won't mention the name of, one of the high schools here, we had a couple of years ago, we had a woman who was, she worked at the school as, I think she worked up in the front office. But she ended up getting busted for screwing this kid, this 16-year-old kid. And turned out after doing a little bit of investigation that this chick had been doing this for years.
Oh, yeah.
Like 10, 15 years. She even would take these kids to her house, have parties, drink, screw all of them. She kept the scorebook for the basketball team.
Yeah, it was like Porky's.
That's how she gained access to these kids, pretty much. Now, you ready for the kicker?
Go ahead.
She was in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the waist down.
Really?
Oh, I love this.
When she was doing this?
Yes. Yes.
So what would she do? Just slide down on the chair? Like roll over and slide down on the chair?
I don't know what she would do. They had some sort of a van set up where she could drive. So she would actually check these kids out of school during school and take them off premises in her little van. And, I mean, she had to use a catheter to pee. But it didn't stop teenage boys from sticking their cock in her.
Well, she probably gave a pretty good blowjob, though.
Well, she probably had to. So.
Can you imagine, though, that if this chick was, like, kind of slinking down on the wheelchair and was, like, you know, and she had to put her face where her ass always is, that has to stink. It's just got to have a fucking real funk, her let's face it, she's got to have, paralyzed from the waist down, she's got to have an unkempt fucking pussy. So, there's a lot of fucking pussy stink coming off of this girl. In that chair, and ass stink, because she can't really wipe her ass real well. So then she's sliding down the wheelchair and putting her face, she's got to put her arms on the chair, on the arms of the chair, and then her face would be face down in the seat part of the chair, right?
Well, you're putting a lot of thought into this, Chris.
Yeah,
I really
no kidding. He's got this all schematically diagrammed out and everything,
Look, sick people have sick minds, and I know I'm one of them.
But the funny thing was they finally caught the girl because she bought this kid an iPad.
It wasn't like she could run away.
Yeah, yeah. But she bought this kid an iPad, and he took it home, and his mom found it and was like, all right, you fucking stole this from somewhere, and started pressing the kids. Who the fuck you steal this from, and where'd you get it from? And that's how she got busted. But she did that for years, man. Jesus. And it's just, it's hard to even imagine that. I mean, I guess a teenage boy will stick his dick in anything, I guess. So.
Hell yeah. Like that's bad.
I just thought I'd share that lovely story with you boys. So, hail and kill, hand job. Fuck you, pal.
Jeez.